the country of a region, country Pakistan, in a region which has many challenges. The challenges start from the lack of prosperity to the people. The challenges start from hosting one of the largest population of the poor. It does not give me great pleasure to be talking about acts of terrorism perpetrated from one country into another to ensure that economic prosperity never reaches the doors of this region. So I wish I was here to be talking to you about how SAARC is prospering, how regional connectivity is happening, of how this region is finally being able to see the full potential that we have read in our textbooks. But you have to do what you have to do. And in this particular incident, the reason why we are drawing your attention is because we are at a unique place where perpetrators of terrorism are today projecting themselves to be the greatest victims of terrorism, where perpetrators of terrorism are drumbeating as Security Council presidents to talk about terrorism from imaginary sources. And we are also at a unique place because nobody is willing to call the bluff. Nobody is willing to call out the clear, simple, glaring hypocrisy in this whole act. So when we have evidence that is undeniable, that is indisputable, I think it is important for everyone who speaks of justice and universality of the value system that we have to call a spade a spade. And this particular effort is to bring to the attention of the world and to expect them and to really encourage them to see things based on evidence as they are. Now I know that the Interior Minister has already done a press conference on what we are calling the Lahore incident yesterday. This morning the Foreign Secretary of Pakistan was able to call in the diplomatic corps and share this dossier with them. This dossier, as you already know, has details, evidence of how India has found to be fully behind this particular incident which led to the loss of life. And we did not, unlike our neighbors, go the next day and blame one country or the other. We waited till we had strong, hard evidence to be making the case that we're making today. Now, let me say that we all claim that terrorism in all its forms and manifestations is condemnable. We also know that it poses a serious threat to peace and security. And I think if there's one thing that bogged this region down, it is the scourge of terrorism. And there's one country which has been on the receiving end of the scourge of terrorism, it is Pakistan. Yet the other country, which is the source of terrorism in Pakistan, continues to play the drum of being the victim of terrorism. I mean, it's a remarkable world, right? It's a very interesting proposition that we find ourselves in. Now, coming back to the Lahore incident, it is a clear evidence of a terrorist attack which was planned, which was supported by India, which was to target innocent civilians in Pakistan, Lahore, Johor town. It reflects India's persistent hostility towards my country and the use of terrorist proxies to achieve nefarious objectives. And we believe objectives which are actually going to harm them also. Because when you try and burn a neighbor's house, the fire will come and burn you too. Our professional law enforcement agencies and judicial authorities have brought the perpetrators of this attack to justice who have received punishment, but these were only the frontmen, as we all know. The masterminds and the facilitators remain at large and under Indian state patronage and protection. I can assure you that the government of Pakistan will pursue this relentlessly at every level. Now, India has already earned the infamy for its terrorist designs and actions. Its actions in the IIOJK, the infamous massacre in Indian Gujarat, which made some countries close its door on many well-known Indian leaders, and which still ensures that many other Indian leaders still continue to glorify this incident. They want to identify with that incident rather than away from the incident. This shows the psyche which is currently going on. And I tell you, it's a dangerous one. The Samjhota train incident that we all know about, its terrorist proxies continue to use neighbors' territories and blatant support to Baloch militant organizations. All of these point to one objective and one method. The objective is to undermine Pakistan's peace and security, and the method is simple: terrorism. Now, we can call what India is doing to be many things, okay? I think, fragment of a sentence which describes it well is chronic terrorism syndrome, okay? And how do you define it? You perpetrate terrorism, you fully supported and abetted by the state. The Lahore incident, the Samjhota train incident, the Yadev evidence all point out to that. You play as a victim of terrorism to gain international sympathy and create subterfuge. No country has used terrorism better than India. To play on the back of the attention of the world on terrorism and to play the victim, no country has benefited from it better than India. Portray yourself or itself as the champion of counter-terrorism. And it's interesting because this continues to be a country which has made no contribution whatsoever to has always paid lip service, but had made no contribution to international counterterrorism in any way. If you compare Pakistan and India, you will find Pakistan always be in the forefront of counterterrorism, of ensuring that we are a player in the world to try and make sure that terrorism does not continue to haunt us. It also continues to divert international attention from its state-sponsored terrorism and human rights violations in the IIOJK. It blatantly violates international laws and regulations to continue terrorist activities and their support, facilitation, and financing. Maybe it will not be very wise to bring it in this context, but allow me to remind all of you that India is a country which continues to call a rogue state. Because the country that tries to deny the existence of Security Council resolutions and insists on other countries imagining a certain part of disputed territory as its own shows what type of a mindset this country has. And I can say, of course, it's a very, very dangerous mindset. Create hurdles in judicial proceedings when terrorism cases are sub judice. Paralyze United Nations Security Council. And this is also very rich because, do what you blame others for, okay? So India has been consistently paralyzing United Nations Security Council's sanctions regime by blocking listing of Indian terrorists actively aided and financed by the state of India. And in this, I have 4 names that I can share with you, I think at the end of this, which are recent Indian nationals whose listing has been blocked by India. In fact, I do have those names with me. This is Gobinda Patnaik, Partha Sarthi, Rajesh Kumar, and Mr. Dungara. All 4 names blocked by India in UNSC listing. And obviously, I think I don't need to remind anyone that India has had a constant role in destabilizing its neighboring countries and weaken their economies to try and pursue its hegemonic designs in the region. CPEC, Balochistan are very good examples. I also question, I can just try and remind India that you cannot have islands of excellence in a sea of depravity. So when you try and harm your region, you actually end up harming yourself. Now, we can understand that India is currently very frustrated because Pakistan has been, because of the delisting of Pakistan from FATF's grey list, right? They have completely mastered the art of using international organizations for their political gains. I think they should give lessons on that type of diplomacy to the world. Now, this cannot change the fact that India remains the recruiter, the financier, the facilitator of various terrorist outfits and foreign terrorist fighters within the region. The world may be ignoring this, what I would consider to be a festering pool of terrorism, but at its own peril. What is ironic, as I've already said, is that India has been beating the terrorism drum, chairing UNSC meetings on terrorism. Now it has been caught red-handed in this particular incident, orchestrating terrorist attacks in its neighboring country, Pakistan. Let me be clear to you, and as I've already said, when you burn your neighbor's house, the fire will reach you too. I think India should desist from this policy and start looking at this region as a neighborhood that it is.